Today's announcement by Governor Inslee to mandate vaccines for school workers is resonating through public servants across the spectrum. Mike Johnson is a Bellingham firefighter who doesn't want a vaccine and believes no one should force it on him. He says he and like-minded firefighters are now being villainized and terrorized.
We're being told basically the only way that you can help yourself is through terror. And we're being threatened with our job loss, our securities, financial loss. I mean, it's horrible.
At first they used fear. Then they use guilt, then they use bribery, now they're using force. That's how you manipulate people.
Nancy Hill says she's a cardiac nurse at Bellingham's Peace Health St. Joseph Medical Center, where she was recently mandated to get a vaccine or lose her job. She says her rights and those of teachers shouldn't be any different than those of her patients.
What we want to put in our bodies, we have that right. And if we don't consent, that has to be upheld. Anyone who doesn't want any medical treatment or a certain kind of medical treatment absolutely has that right to not consent.
And as more mandates are handed down from Olympia, the divisions are growing deeper.
It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic. It doesn't matter because it shouldn't infringe on your freedoms. And Inslee should not be able to take away our freedoms because he's not a king.
Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thanks so much for tuning in, and welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie, and tonight I have a bunch of videos. I don't even know if we'll get through all of them because I have so many. There's so many videos. But that's what we do here, right? I really like that video that I played at the beginning there. I love what those people are saying. I love that there's a firefighter. I love that there's a nurse. I love that these frontline people, you know, the first responders are stepping up and saying, yeah, you're pushing it too far. You know, the police are saying, nope, it's not going to happen. I mean, not the police, but a percentage of police officers are saying, yeah, I'm not doing it. Nurses, nursing home staff, I understand that they're incredibly low vaccination rate. So, and again, this is what a police state looks like. People having to go out to protest the government overstepping themselves, right? Next, it will be more people. You see what's happening in Australia? There's thousands of people in the street, and the police are coming out with batons and tear gas and rubber bullets, and it's fucking disgusting. Like, oh, we're here for your protection. Bap, bap, bap. Oh, we're here for your protection. Boom, 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 boom. Right? Oh, you need this shot. Boom, 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 boom. For your safety. Boom, 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 boom. And that's what's going on. Oh, by the way, they're boom, 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 boom. They're shooting puppies in Australia because of COVID. I'm sorry, rescue puppies in Australia to protect people from COVID. Apparently, to follow the COVID rules, they had to shoot puppies. Because that's the kind of kind humanity that we express in the year 2021, where all lives matter, including puppies. Or not. Let's see. I have more videos. I can play the video about Australia right away, and I will. Because you need to see this about people shooting puppies in order, because this is, I mean, what's next? What are they going to shoot next? I wonder. You know, it's not like they're going to run out of bullets anytime soon, right? Unless, of course, they start shooting. Then they might, doubtful. I have a video on the funding of the Wuhan lab. And I found it very interesting, and I thought that you might be interested in seeing it too. Also, the Israeli Prime Minister landed in Washington, D.C. today, or Maryland, wherever, and he was greeted by the very first person off the plane. Well, he was the very first person off the plane, but the first person that he saw on the ground was the Secretary of Defense, right? And then they headed off to an APAC meeting, and then over to the Pentagon, where they just proudly displayed the Israeli flag out in front of the Pentagon. I don't understand why foreign leaders, diplomats are having meetings in the Pentagon. Okay, I want to go to the Pentagon. You think they're going to let me in? I doubt it. Might just be in my own head, but I seriously doubt they're going to let me in the Pentagon. But foreign leaders, no problem. I have a serious issue with that. I also have a video about the ongoing persecution of the people living in Gaza, and I have a video about, oh, that's it. That's it. So we can get right to the videos, or you can call. The number is 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. One of the reasons that I posted this title for the video is because, again, that was the people standing out on the street, you know. One of the reasons, and this is why, I mean, we're seeing this get more and more like a police state. The thing is, I love the protesters. I love the protesters. I mean, this is a proud American tradition. And these people who hate the protesters, maybe you don't love America. Maybe you don't love freedom. I know you don't love freedom. Let me put it that way. You hate the protesters. You hate people who speak out. You don't love freedom. Because freedom means people might speak out about things that you don't agree with them with. But you still support them to say it. That's not where we're at in this country anymore, is it? If you don't say what I don't like, I don't want you around. And I don't see that anywhere. I don't see anyone saying, I support the right for you to say what you want to say. You know, because I don't necessarily support what you're saying, but I absolutely support your right to say it. We don't hear that anymore, do we? I don't hear it anymore. And my ear is to the ground, baby. So I am frustrated about that. But where should we begin this evening? Where should we begin? We started off with the protest. Like I said, when you go to the protest, if you've never been there, you know, one of the things that they do is they chant stuff, you know. And one of my favorite chants is, this is what a police state looks like. This is what a police state looks like. I always really appreciate that one because it's spot on. You know, people are, again, in the proud American tradition, taking to the streets to demand that their representative government hear their voices, right? Because they're not going to hear them if they send an email or whatever. You go into the street, you have a crowd of thousands, you would think somebody would care about it. Nah. But, you know, the people... Again, I love the protesters, right? They're going into the street. They're probably hated by the majority of Americans. They've been vilified by the media down to basically protesters are now domestic terrorists. And I don't know. I feel like, you know, well, they're putting their lives at risk. Right? We live in a comply or die police state. We all know that. We live in it. And these people are standing up against that police state. They're saying, this is what a police state looks like. And in doing that, I mean, they definitely are putting their lives on the line. We've seen, I mean, I talk about Scott Olson, you know, Ashley Babbitt. There's been a lot of protesters that were just fucked, you know. But Scott Olson, you know, he did 2 tours of duty in Iraq, you know. And he came home and he wasn't bothering anybody. And then the Occupy movement started. and he started to become active in the Occupy movement in Oakland. And then the police started raiding all the Occupy encampments. They started going in and just bashing the fucking heads in the people. And this is under the presidency of Barack Obama. The Occupy protesters were labeled by the Barack Obama Department of Homeland Security as potential enemy combatants or potential terrorists in the time of a war on terror. And Obama said, there you go, they're terrorists, go kick their asses. And the police went in and they bloodied people's heads that were in the proud American tradition, taking to the street and demanding that their representative government hear their voices, and they bashed their brains in. Scott Olson, and giant protest, you know, just like as soon as they started fucking with people, the protest just increased exponentially. So there's giant protest in Oakland. There's like 1,000 people, you know, all grouped up, right? And then like 100 feet in front of those 1,000 people was Scott Olson, right? Scott Olson is standing there, two tours of duty in Iraq. He's standing there, no shirt, pair of pants, a peace sign, and an American flag, a big American flag. And he's standing there, just like that, in the middle of the street, 100 feet in front of the other protesters, 1,000 protesters, and 100 feet away from the cops that were, you know, so there's plenty of space. He's standing there with a peace sign and an American flag. Two tours of duty in Iraq. And the cops thunk a tear gas canister right off his forehead. What is that, a great shot? Lucky shot, man. No, that's what they train for, okay? That's what they train for, to hurt people. Innocent people doing in the proud American tradition of going into the street and demanding that their representative government hear their voices. They hurt them because they're supposed to be fucking sheep. What are you goddamn sheep doing now? Get back in your fucking corral and stay there. Thumped a tear gas canister off of Scott Olson's forehead, fracturing his skull in 16 places. 2 tours of duty in Iraq, holding a peace sign and an American flag. And they do that to him. And Barack Obama, who while he was campaigning in 2008 to be the greatest president ever, said, if you go into the streets, I will stand there with you shoulder to shoulder. And I will tell you there was protesters back and forth across this country, every fucking city, for Occupy. And Barack Obama, and they were there for months and months and months. And Barack Obama never once showed up at an Occupy meeting, encampment, protest. Never once. And you know, they started the protest in 2011, right before Barack Obama was reelected. And I think that was part of the problem. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark.
What's up, G?
Just sitting.
Uh-huh.
Well, we're not a police thing, Mark, because if we were a police thing, we'll be like Australia. You know what's going on in Australia?
Yes, I have a fucking video about Australia. I know what's going on in Australia.
Yeah.
And America is very close to that.
But you better start moving to Idaho, Mark.
Do what now?
You should start packing up to Idaho.
Yeah, you live in Idaho, man. Don't tell me what to do. Okay? You live in Idaho. I already know. So why are you telling me to move to Idaho?
You don't have to deal with the police state that is the state of Washington.
I don't run away, Manny. Look, I would much rather stand up against the police state than run away from it. But that's probably just me.
Well, we have a tower police state over here, man. They defend Black Lives Matter and the Antifa people, but they don't actually uphold the law. So, example, we have chats.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, just tell me what's going on. At least it's not as bad as Oregon, no, because in Oregon, they're like, literally Antifa is shooting people from the streets, for real, like with a machine gun and everything.
Uh-huh.
So, at least freedom is in Idaho or Texas or Florida.
Well, it's still an open carry state here in Washington, and again, I'm not going. I love it here, and I'm not going to run away from a place that I love because of some pussy cops who beat up on people because they can.
Well, yeah, people need to calm down, man, because sometimes the people are assholes as well.
What?
And they get what they deserve sometimes, you know?
I don't give a fuck about the labels, Manny, okay? Again, when people go into the street and protest, they're not this group and they're not that group and they're not fucking domestic terrorists. They're Americans demanding their representative government hear their voices.
Well, why should I hear the voices of people who don't share my values, man?
Because it's America and they have the right to live how they want. And like I said earlier, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I support your right to say it 100%.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Why don't you feel that way?
Well, I feel that way, but sometimes you cannot realize that the values and the culture of certain people do not combine with my way of life.
Uh-huh. And do you think that your way of life is copacetic to theirs? And so don't you want to have the right to live your way of life just like they should have the right to live their way of life, Manny?
Oh, absolutely. They should definitely live their own way of life. Just don't obstruct my way of life. So if you block the streets or you try to pass legislation that is going to affect my life, then I will get peace and I will make sure that they don't interfere with my life.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think works.
Good. Well, I'm glad that you shared that with us, Manny.
Yeah. You still mad about the Palestine situation?
Of course.
Well, of course. I'm mad as well. That belongs to Israel.
I know, Manny. We already had this discussion.
That's true. That's true. So I remember last week that Tyler was telling you about an exciting thing happening on Friday, though. Did you watch that Friday exciting thing that the caller told you about?
No, I didn't. No.
Yeah, because apparently the best of the world show up on Chicago. So it was real, Max.
It's all real, Manny.
It is so real. Oh man, I'm so tired, man. I was watching the best of the world today on my phone as well. He's pretty legit. I think he's the best in the world. He's gonna be the other guy who pretends to be the best in the world. And then maybe he's gonna fight against Ben as well.
All right, Manny. Well, it's good to hear from you. I gotta play a video.
All right, man, take it easy.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Okay, so I have a video here about it's according to this video, if you don't get the vaccine, you don't get unemployment when you get fired for not getting the vaccine. And that, again, sounds like this police state thing. No vaccine, no unemployment, baby. That's, people pay into the unemployment insurance. It's not like it's some giveaway of your taxes, right? People themselves pay into the unemployment insurance, and employers pay into the unemployment insurance. So that money is there in case you need it because you're unemployed. And these people are saying, oh, well, that doesn't apply to you. So I am going to play that video for you because I thought it was interesting and I thought that you might find it interesting also. And I'm going to come back and have a big fat dab. So if anybody like to join me in a bong hit, I'll be doing that momentarily. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be right back.
All Department of Natural Resources employees, including firefighters, are being told they need to be fully vaccinated by October 18th. That means they have to get their final shot by the 4th of October. Commissioner of Public Lands Hilary Franz made that announcement today, saying the state cannot afford to lose a single firefighter during the wildfire season.
A major breakthrough in the fight against this pandemic. The FDA has given full approval to Pfizer for its COVID vaccine. Health experts hope that this announcement will increase confidence for those who have been hesitant.
I think what a full approval status suggests is that the FDA has looked at the science, they've taken input from experts, and really just giving that stamp of approval to say that now, like other vaccines that we've had in the past and are familiar with, the COVID vaccine has passed that review of data, which is an important milestone.
The vaccine was fully approved for people 16 and older. For children between 12 and 15, the vaccine can still be administered under an emergency use authorization.
For a vaccine to get full FDA approval, it takes a lot of data from thousands of patients. For emergency use authorization, the FDA looks at studies over the course of 2 months. Over that time frame, 44,000 people were monitored for side effects. For full authorization, the FDA requires 6 months of data. As for the other 2 vaccines, Moderna is still waiting for FDA approval. The company submitted its request in June, a month after Pfizer. Johnson & Johnson says it plans to file for full approval sometime before the end of this year.
New tonight, workers in Washington are facing a dilemma as vaccine mandates are expanding. Get the COVID shot or get fired. King 5's Christine Pei explains whether those who choose to lose their jobs are going to qualify for unemployment.
Unemployment benefit payments. They are a cushion to fall back on if workers are fired from their job, depending on the circumstances. But what if the reason for being let go is because they refuse to be vaccinated?
Everyone's trying to make sense of this right now.
King 5 reached out to employment law attorney Jason Ritterreiser for some answers.
Employees should not count on unemployment benefits if they were to be fired because they failed to get vaccinated, or if they're resigned because they refused to get vaccinated.
Ritterreiser says that's because it boils down to this.
Employers can mandate a vaccine.
And it can be a condition of employment, but it could depend on a worker's unique situation, and religious, medical, and disability exemptions might play a role. The Washington Employment Security Department handles state unemployment benefits and says factors may include when the employer adopted the requirement, whether the employee is otherwise eligible for benefits, the specific terms of the vaccine policy, including allowable exemptions, and the reason why the employee did not comply with the vaccine requirement. Governor Jay Inslee last week puts it more directly.
If you leave, the vast majority of people will not be eligible for unemployment compensation either. So people will be out of paycheck the day that they're discharged.
Ritterreiser says he expects more calls to his office as workers seek clarification and offers this piece of advice.
If you want to maintain your job and you want to take the most safe course of action, it's to get vaccinated.
October 18th, that is the deadline for state workers to be fully vaccinated or really face a chance of being let go by their employer. This also applies to healthcare workers and K through 12 school workers. Joyce.
So, Christine, we know the union representing state workers has been really vocal about this. What are they saying?
Right, so unions definitely discussing this as well. The Washington Federation of State Workers, which represents about 47,000 workers statewide, they actually want the state to come back to the bargaining table to continue talking about this and negotiate the impacts of the vaccine mandate. Live in Seattle, I'm Christine Pei, King 5 News.
Christine, thank you.
New masking requirements in our state kicked in today. The rule applies to people 5 years old and up when in indoor public settings or outdoor when physical distancing is not possible. So this includes places like gyms and restaurants and bars, grocery stores, businesses and public-facing offices. There are some exceptions, though. Private offices with no customers or outside visitors, people isolated and working alone indoors, those playing sports or swimming or when performing or leading religious services, just to name a few. We have this all listed on our website.
If and when the vaccine comes. And it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
If Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
You like that ending? I like that ending. I'm going to use that ending again and again and again. So you know. Any COVID-related videos are going to get that ending put on them. So you know. Who's going to get the shot? Who? Are you going to get the shot? Fucking assholes, right? It just, whatever suits them. I can't stand these people who say whatever it is that they want to say that suits them and has nothing to do with the reality of the situation. You know? I guess that's the definition of politician, though, huh? Whatever is best for me, that's what I'm going to say. Okay, so it's time, boys and girls. And weed is illegal in Idaho, Manny. So there is no way I'm moving there. Hello, caller.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you done with your bung hit? You're about 15 seconds ahead of me.
I would have been if you waited 15 fucking seconds.
Oh, so I interrupted your bung hit.
Again?
Oh, you want to take your hit, man? Because I can just say some stuff while you're inhaling. I see you exhaling. I see smoke coming out of your mouth, Mike. You must have took your bong hit. Unless you're just a demon from hell.
Well, that is possible.
Okay. All right, you took your bong hit. I know you did. I just saw it just now. So, yeah, politicians will say anything that is expedient, and they will take advantage of any news cycle. So that's what we see all the time is whatever the news is making big, the politicians are going to jump in and talk about it like we're on the side of right. And then 3 weeks or 2 months later, they're going to change their story. And I think that's what you were talking about with Biden, right? Didn't he say that months before the vaccine came out, who's going to take the shot?
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it was before, but yeah, he said that, so it's just bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. I'm tired of, now it's time to take the shot. Before it was like, who's going to take the shot? Nobody's going to take the shot. I wouldn't take the shot. Kamala Harris flat out said, I'm not going to do it. Okay?
Because Trump made the vaccine, apparently.
And now, if you don't do it, you deserve to lose your job. According to Kamala Harris, according to Joe Biden. Okay, so in my opinion, they both deserve to lose their job because, again, they're talking out both sides of their mouth, and we really need somebody to give us some kind of straight talk, especially if you're in the middle of fucking, plague, deadly plague. How can we do this fucking bullshit?
It's not a deadly plague.
That's what we keep being told.
Well, I know that's what we're being told.
Well, then, if they're telling us it's a deadly plague, they should act consistently about that, as opposed to this pick and choose bullshit, like Obama's birthday party.
Right, yeah, that's another example, but, you know, just the fact that she, the demon reptilian from hell, Kamala Harris, would say that if she would politicize a supposed medical situation. It's like, if Trump says to take it, I'm not taking it. Well, guess what? The vaccine is the same now as it was when Trump was developing it, but since Joe Biden and the Democrats say to take it, it's okay to take the exact same chemical, graphene oxide. It's okay to inject that into your veins.
Well, it's not just okay. It's, again, if you don't and you're a federal employee, you lose your job. Not only that, though, if it's just, you know, it's not just now that Biden's okay, and now that Biden's president, it's okay to do it. It's that now that Biden's president, you can't say the shit that he said before he was president. Who's going to take it? No, I'm not going to take it. No, no, no. You know, you're not allowed to talk that way anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
And they all say, oh, I didn't say that. And then 12 million researchers go and immediately find a video where he did say that. And, you know, all that proof just, well, you know, that was just, they make up an excuse.
They fucking laugh it off. Kamala Harris will say something stupid and go,
Yeah, well, I really hope they get that vaccine, because the Pfizer vaccine has 12 million...
Yeah, okay.
And, well, what kind of particles are they?
No, look, man, when you're a goddamn rocket scientist, you can tell me about fucking nano fucking particles. Until then, I don't want to fucking hear it.
I'm a researcher. I saw it on Facebook. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know you don't want to hear it, but we're in agreement that the politicians up and down the ladder will say anything expedient to up their social media profile, to get votes, to get money, to work on behalf of their constituents, which are not people, by the way, they're corporations. So those are the constituents I'm talking about. They'll say anything to promote oil, there you go with Trump right now, or to promote global warming, there you go with Biden right now. So whoever is lining their pockets with money is who they're going to speak for. They're going to use that narrative because that's what they're paid to do. And they're not paid by us. All your taxes go to kill brown people and South American people. Well, those are brown people too. But, you know, what are we supposed to do about this corrupt damn government that thinks it's legal and okay to take away our jobs, to crush the economy, and then don't take a knee when they sing the Star Spangled Banner? That's communism right there, if you take a knee. But they can take away your jobs and take away your freedoms. And you know, I just saw that Israeli video you posted on Mox News. It was about 17 minutes long, I think. I just saw that. And the thing about that is that they keep saying the Palestinians won't be quiet. They just won't be quiet.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, but Palestinians have had everything taken from them, and they're supposed to just lay down and not make any noise. And the same thing with Americans. We've had everything taken from us, some more than others. I have a house, I have money, I'm doing okay. Some people have had their jobs taken. Now more people are going to have their jobs taken unless they get an injection. And we're just supposed to be quiet because we're bad people if we speak the truth. And I I have rights. That's what the Palestinians have been doing for 75 years. And that's what we should be doing right now as Americans. Like, I have the right to free speech. I have the right to the sanctity of my home. I have the right to possess guns. I have the right to petition my government, my tyrannical government. I have the right to a job. And, you know, all these and more. All these rights and more. We have the right to.
And let me just interject. We have the right to come together and discuss our tyrannical government. Okay, it's not just a matter of I have the right to say this. We have the right to discuss it. And this is what they will call conspiracy and start throwing us into jail, if not re-education camps, real fucking soon, for those of you who aren't paying attention.
Yeah, it's the ministry of truth. If you go, you know, we're living in the movie V for Vendetta. I mean, they had a virus in that movie, and they locked everybody down. And
that's what the whole movie is about a virus and standing up against a completely corrupt government.
And eventually they did it, but they had to blow up Big Ben or something. They had to blow up the government center. And I'm not advocating for that.
Parliament. I think it's Parliament they blew up.
Parliament, right, yeah. You know, it's okay. And I respect the Palestinians, and under United States law, United Nations law, any occupied people has the right to resist the occupation, and that's what the Palestinians are doing.
And that's what the founding fathers gave us to right. This is why they gave us these rights, not just to pursue happiness, but and they knew that a tyrannical government would take place, would occupy the White House. They knew this, and they gave us all the rights we need to stand up and put that government down.
And they anticipated revolutions and turmoil and protests.
100% they anticipated revolutions. Not only did they anticipate them, they wanted you to have the right to be able to do that.
Right. And every founding father spoke to this point. And they would have been up in arms decades ago. I mean, they are rolling in their graves saying, oh my God, these are Americans. We liberated this land, and we made this beautiful living document called the Constitution, and these people won't even get up out of their easy chairs and their recliners and fight back this horrible satanic tyranny they're under. They're injecting people who don't want to be injected. They're forcing you one way or another. We're going to deprive you. We're going to drive you into the streets. And we're going to make you homeless and poor. And we're going to criminalize you if you don't take this injection. That's what they're saying. So that goes against the Nuremberg laws. It goes against the Constitution. And I don't think anybody is doing enough. And the right of free speech extends to the internet. And I wish we had platforms other than, you know, BitChute and stuff like that. I wish we had open platforms that anyone could that were not being suppressed, like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. They're all being suppressed.
Yeah, in 1,000 different ways.
Right. So they are squishing and negating our First Amendment free speech right on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. I can't say the things I want to say.
It's not just that. They're limiting our ability to come together and have a conversation. You know, you can kind of more or less say what you want. I kind of say more or less what I want. You know, there's just some certain taboos, I guess. But more or less, I say what I want, and I you know, they allow me to say it, but they don't allow my message to get out. I have 116,000 subscribers, and I can only get 40 people to my live broadcast. Why? Because they won't let the message out. It's not that I don't have the ability to speak it. They just won't let the conversation begin as to what I have to say.
I gotta look for you every day, even if I set a reminder.
Yeah.
Even if I click on the remind me that Michael's coming on tomorrow night, it doesn't show up. I gotta look for you every day. Mox News.
Yeah.
So, this is a planned out strategy to do what you said, to prevent us from coming together, because knowledge is power, and they want to keep us just dumb enough to flip hamburgers and vote for puppet number 2 or puppet number 1. They don't really care because they're all puppets.
Yeah. You ever watch the cartoon Futurama?
No, I never.
There was having one presidential election at one time, and it was 2 clones running against each other.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Yeah.
I mean, the only people that can speak truth in today's social media are comedians, and you have to do it by using satire.
And they get censored too.
Yeah. Well,
what the fuck? Joe Biden had to fucking apologize out his ass for what he was fucking saying. I don't know. Maybe you don't consider Joe Biden a comedian. I don't know.
No, I think Joe Biden is a terrorist.
Oh, not Joe Biden. I meant Joe Rogan.
Oh, Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
If he apologized, he's a weak motherfucker.
He apologized. He said some shit about COVID, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Let me see what he apologized for. Here, let me look it up for you. Let's see.
Well, he's on that broadcast system, and I don't catch his stuff on YouTube anymore. So, but he's wishy-washy. And he's got really good...
Joe Rogan apologizes profusely for spreading misinformation.
Well, that's weak. Joe Rogan is weak.
Joe Rogan's a fucking pussy. And then he moved to fucking Texas, away from California, which has legal weed. He moved to Texas, where you fucking, get caught with a joint in your pocket, and you're in some serious fucking deep shit. He didn't give a fuck about freedom, man.
Listen, I know people are going to bust my balls about my next statement, but California is not going to collapse. And everybody in the chat is going to say, California is already collapsed. Well, California is already a big pile of shit, that's for sure, but it's not going to collapse. Joe Rogan was right in the middle of L.A. seeing all the homeless, and he panicked, and he went to Texas, where he can't legally smoke weed. I hope you're breaking the law, Joe. And as far as politics go, he's a dumb shit. I've seen him do some good stuff, but when you gotta back down from the truth for popularity, that's called being a pussy. So
yeah, I don't think he's a dumb shit. I think he's he's just another propagandist. He's just another fucking sellout. I'm gonna keep my big pile of cash, and I'll say anything you fucking want me to. Apologize, no problem. That is not a thing at all.
Yeah, what's that? What's it with Comcast? I forget that.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't watch. I never watched him. I don't fucking surf at all, man. So I don't watch anything on the internet.
It was probably in his contract that if you do something, you're going to have to backtrack and apologize. But let's get off of Joe Rogan. He's really a nobody who happens to live in Texas right now, and the point is, we lost our free speech, and we lost our ability to petition our government, and we lost the ability to have free and fair elections. And they'll take away our guns. They'll take away everything from us. We're under a medically tyrannical system right now. Since when does Joe Biden know anything about medicine? Why would I listen to him or Kamala Harris or Donald Trump or Anthony Fauci?
Or the for-profit medical industrial complex that has lied to us again and again and again for the last for generations and generations about the medicinal qualities of cannabis, right? I mean, they say cannabis has 0 medicinal qualities. This is the American Medical Association. For generations and generations, this medicine, this absolutely, completely safe medicine, could have been helping people with Parkinson's disease, people with MS, little kids who have fucking 300 seizures a week, could have been helping people with cancer. And you know what? The medical profession knew it. And they hid it from us, and they continue to hide it from us so they can make money. For the sole purpose of the fact that they can make more money that way. So I have a real trust issue when it comes to the for-profit medical industrial complex. You can believe that. Yes, sirree.
Well, yeah, and you're perfectly factually, logically correct. Because they want people to be sick. They can't make
They need people to be sick.
They can't make any money unless they can get you sick.
Yeah. The cops need criminals, the CIA need terrorists, the FBI needs bank robbers. Figure it out.
And the educational institutions want good little slaves who just repeat certain historical and so-called scientific narratives. They don't want you smart enough to think for yourself. They really don't. Smart people get hammered because eventually they stand up and they say, no, that's not right. No, I'm not your slave. No, this is incorrect. Science. You know, that's what smart people do. Everything is inverted and upside down, and our country is not free, and we got to do something about it. And I saw this video the other day. This would be my last comment, Mike. I saw this video the other day. This person, this doctor on YouTube opened, or maybe it was BitChute or something, opened up a brand new vaccine bottle, right, with inside the cardboard box, and she said, she ripped the tape open or the glue, and she took the insert out, and the insert on the vaccine was blank, completely blank piece of paper.
Wow.
So what does that tell you? On every other medical bottle, including aspirin, you're going to have an insert that tells you stuff about it.
Yeah.
But on the vaccine, apparently we're not allowed to know. You have to go and be a fucking a spy to go and get the ingredients, you know.
The whole thing is just really, really fucking over the top weird, and I don't like over the top weird. I mean, I don't mind, you know. I actually kind of like over the top weird, just not when the government's imposing it on us and everybody around the world.
Not when people are suffering. You know, I thought it was okay that George Bush Sr. threw up on the Emperor of Japan that one time 30 years ago. I thought, wow, that's great. But this is way worse than that. Nobody suffered or died from George Bush barfing on the Emperor of Japan.
Yeah, that was meaningless. This is fucking tyranny at the very least.
This is serious, serious, serious shit. And I'm a serious dude. I like to joke around, but I'm fucked. We need a fucking revolution. And these people are all crooks, especially Biden's an idiot, but Kamala Harris is a crook. She's a crook. They're all crooks.
They're evil.
All right,
yeah.
So I'm hoping you're doing good, Mike. Thanks for letting me spout off. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, talk to you later. Let's see. I have a video here about. Okay, I have a video about Wuhan lab funding. I have a video. Okay, I'm going to play the video of the new Israeli Prime Minister coming to Washington, D.C. to have a little talk with Joe Biden about what he's going to do next. Not the Prime Minister of Washington, D.C., but the Prime Minister of not the President of the United States, but the Prime Minister of Israel, the new Prime Minister of Israel, is going to tell Joe Biden what's going to happen next. So I thought you'd find that interesting, and I have a little tiny clip right at the end of the video that brings it all into context. So be sure and watch for that, okay? Israeli Prime Minister at the Pentagon after his first stop, which was the AIPAC lobby. And it's weird. They'll show him coming down off the plane. The first person to greet him is the Secretary of Defense. Then they go to the Pentagon. The Israeli flag out in front of the Pentagon. Why does the Prime Minister of fucking Israel or any other country need to go to the Pentagon? Angela Merkel has been the Prime Minister of Germany for, what, 2 decades? A decade? I don't think she's ever been to the Pentagon. I could be wrong. Could be. But, you know, I don't... this guy has been Prime Minister of Israel for 2 months, and he's in the Pentagon already. You know? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that kind of shit just bothers me. I don't know. But I thought you should look at it. And also, please watch for the clip at the end of this video, because again, it brings it all into context. Be right back. Gotta heat up my tea.
Trump won the election. Among the suspect's possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free. With 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, you know, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color.
In Washington, D.C., as the Israeli Prime Minister making, again, his first official visit to the U.S. Capitol since being sworn in as the Israeli Prime Minister. A lot to discuss. We know that Iran, of course, topping the agenda, and certainly when it comes to a meeting with the U.S. Defense Secretary, who has met with numerous different Israeli officials, not least of which his Israeli counterpart, Benny Gantz, today meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister at the Pentagon. And we're going to go now to our senior U.S. correspondent who is standing by for us in Washington, D.C., Mike Wagenheim. Mike, a meeting's already kicking off right now. We see Naftali Bennett has arrived for that first meeting. Anything that we can expect so far, or what's happening where you are?
That's right. Naftali Bennett in his first meeting with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin here at the Pentagon. He's about to step out of the van, and we will let you see the pictures as Secretary Austin steps out of the building to greet him here again. Naftali Bennett on his first trip here to the United States as Prime Minister. He met earlier in the day with AIPAC officials, but his meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken has been delayed several hours. Blinken dealing with the Afghanistan crisis, which is overshadowing the U.S. administration and could very well overshadow this trip for Naftali Bennett here over the next couple of days. He'll meet with Blinken later today, and then this evening at his hotel with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. The meeting with President Joe Biden still scheduled for tomorrow morning at the White House. You see there Bennett entering the building there with U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. There'll be a number of topics on the table here today for Bennett and Austin. Obviously, the Iranian file at the top of the agenda. Bennett said he would present U.S. President Joe Biden tomorrow with a new policy platform for handling the Iranian issue, not only on the nuclear front, but also in terms of the menacing activities for Iran in the region. Bennett said he's been conducting a policy review, an Israeli policy review, over the past month and a half, and he will present that new plan to Joe Biden tomorrow. Whether it actually moves the needle or not obviously remains to be seen. A U.S. official said earlier in the week here that he doesn't expect much to change in terms of the American approach to the Iranian issue. Meanwhile, among the other topics to discuss today, obviously regional issues, the collapse of Lebanon and Hezbollah in Lebanon, obviously a concern not only for Israel but America as well. Activities related to the Saudis in Yemen. There's other regional issues as well to discuss. And of course, China back on the agenda here, back on the menu. Going back to the Trump administration, now continuing into the Biden administration, they're seeing China really as a national security threat and have been trying to get Israel to back off allowing China to invest and to develop sensitive infrastructure and sensitive technological investments in Israel. And it's going to be a topic of discussion not only with National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, but presumably with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin here at the Pentagon. Both Bennett and Austin will give brief statements in a couple of moments, but it'll be the usual talk of the strong Israeli-U.S. defense relationship. Then the doors will be closed and they'll really get into the nitty-gritty of what needs to be addressed here urgently, especially, Dan, when it comes to Iran.
Right, Mike, and we know the urgency for the U.S. administration right now when it comes to Afghanistan. We know Tony Blinken was just speaking to the press, even maybe as we speak, if not in the last couple of minutes. And on the Israeli side, urgency when it comes to the South. We understand some developments. Apparently, the U.S. administration delivering a message to Hamas, urging them not to go forward with an escalation. People were viewing Bennett's visit to the U.S. as a potential risky issue when it comes to Israel engaging in an escalation. How does that fit into what's happening over the next couple of days?
You know, it's a real balancing act for Naftali Bennett right now because he wants to project strength back home in Israel. He wants to show that he is in charge, that he can replace Benjamin Netanyahu as a so-called Mr. Security, that he will do what he said he was going to do in terms of retaliation against Hamas and other terrorist groups that operate out of the Gaza Strip. On the same token, he's got to send a message to the Americans that he's going to be pragmatic, that he's not going to be inflammatory, that he's going to dial down the tensions where he can and not escalate when he doesn't need to, and when there might be a more pragmatic solution right around the corner. It's a real balancing act right now for Naftali Bennett, and he's showing that on this trip here today, Dan, that he's willing to take a step back from the brink, willing to de-escalate to, if you want to call it, appease the Americans, maybe get on the good side of the Americans, maybe show some goodwill. But again, he's got to show strength back home and be able to compromise here in Washington. Difficult for the first-time prime minister.
All right, Mike, and we're going to come back here.
Right after everybody left, they steam cleaned, and instantly you could smell the difference.
Right after they left, they steam cleaned, and you could instantly smell the Sorry. But I will be using that clip again and again also. And I hope you find it as entertaining as I do. And the phone is on. The number is 805-669-6397, 805 Mox News. I'd love to have a little talk with you anytime you feel like calling during the show. I'm not going to talk to you when the show's not on. Unless it's Jackie Cat. You can call anytime, baby girl. Okay, so let's see. And I want to thank my good friend Sugar Ass for the lovely brownies that she dropped off last night. And it's so nice of you. And I very much am looking forward to more of your wonder-filled creations. Thank you so much, Shug. Okay, so where were we? Just a minute ago, we were talking about something. Oh, right. After they left, they steam cleaned. And you could instantly smell the difference. Is that wrong of me? No noise? Is there no noise? No noise. I thought it was funny. Never mind. Okay, so I have more videos. The telephone number is on the screen. The telephone is turned on. We're waiting for a caller. 805-669-6397. I have more videos to get through. I'm going to get through them now because I'm not going to wait on you people. That's for sure. Okay. Funding of the Wuhan lab. I found this video fascinating. It goes by pretty quick. There's a lot of information. I would highly recommend that you pay attention because you might find this interesting also. There you go. It's a short one, so watch closely.
Now to a Sinclair exclusive on the hunt for the origin of the COVID-19, that is. House lawmakers are demanding answers from the National Institutes of Health on whether it followed its own rules when it awarded millions of taxpayer-funded grants to a nonprofit that partnered with the controversial Wuhan Institute of Virology. Sinclair National correspondent James Rosen has this story.
As the White House prepares to release unclassified portions of the intelligence community's 90-day review of evidence relating to the origin of COVID-19, ordered by President Biden in late May, members of the House Energy and Commerce Committee minority, led by Kathy McMorris Rodgers of Washington State,
I wanted to start with a question to Dr. Collins.
are quietly pressing their own probe. In a letter obtained by Sinclair, the group asked Dr. Francis Collins, the director since 2009 of the National Institutes of Health, about grants the agency has awarded to a New York City nonprofit called EcoHealth Alliance, which in turn supported coronavirus experiments at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the mysterious lab closed off to investigators from which many analysts believe COVID-19 escaped in an accidental leak.
And we're working on answers to your letter with 29 questions.
In July 2020, NIH suspended one of its grants to EcoHealth, number R01AI110964, citing concerns the group wasn't ensuring the Wuhan Institute followed proper biosafety protocols in its COVID research. And amid suspicions, EcoHealth was not forthcoming when NIH sought additional information about it. Since then, however, the GOP lawmakers say NIH has doled out more than $4 million in additional grants to EcoHealth. The new funding to EcoHealth Alliance suggests that the NIH is not serious about oversight of NIH grants and, more specifically, its compliance requests of EcoHealth Alliance, the letter said. The NIH, in accordance with its own policies, should have required EcoHealth Alliance to ensure that all SARS coronavirus research by its sub-grantee, the Wuhan Institute, was done in a biosecurity level 3 lab.
EcoHealth Alliance was allowing Wuhan to use a biosafety level 2 lab when in fact the requirements were for a biosafety level 3 lab, and apparently NIH ignored the warning signs, knew that there was possibilities or should have known there were possibilities that was going on, didn't do their oversight.
The NIH acknowledged but never responded substantively to our request for comment. Chinese officials and the World Health Organization have suggested the coronavirus originated in animals, not a laboratory leak. Outside the nation's capital, James Rosen.
If and when the vaccine comes, and it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
If Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
I don't know. I think that clip might get a little old, that one at the end. You think that'll get old? I think it might get a little old. I'll have to pay close attention to when it gets old. You let me know if you think it's getting old. Of course, the white privilege card clip will never get old. I haven't played it for a little while. I actually was really glad to see it. I was like, there is no way I'm cutting this off short. Although I didn't mean to play it at first. I write down the clips, right? These are the numbers of the clips over here. Where is that at? Over here is numbers of the clip. And over here is how long the clip lasted, right? So I see clip number 3, 5 minutes, and I go, okay, that's clip number 5. Let's play that now. And clip number 5 is Don Lemon. So, whatever. You don't need all the inside details, people. Where were we? We were doing this thing that I do. I'm going to just keep playing videos because I have more videos to play. And I'm going to keep playing videos because that's what I do. I come here to take fat dabs, talk with people, and play topical videos about today's topical events. I don't know. And I have more topical events to to play for you. I have a video about Australia. I'm going to play the video about Australia. They talk about in order to be within the COVID-19 rules in Australia, the current, lockdown, whatever, they had to shoot a bunch of puppies. They had to shoot a bunch of puppies, rescue puppies, because they didn't want to endanger the worker who was going to pick up, not so much the worker, but the person who was going to pick up the puppies that needed rescuing. They didn't want her or him to get infected and then spread it to other people. So we got to kill the puppies. And this is what a police state looks like. And it's really well explained in this clip. So I'm going to leave the clip to explain it properly. And we can come back and have a discussion about it if you like. If not, I'll just play another clip. So the number's there on the screen if you want to call. I'm going to go heat up my tea, and I'll be back momentarily. This is clip number 2.
Well, it used to be called Fortress Australia because the island continent was impervious to deadly COVID. Well, the Delta variant has wedged itself down under, and now the whole damn country is pretty much on lockdown over spiking infections. Oz was COVID-less for the better part of 2020, and Australians like to party. Woo! So they resumed life while we were stuck Zoom drinking and rewatching Tiger King as our cities burned. There was no urgency to develop or procure vaccines there. And their dopey Prime Minister Scott Morrison said of the global vax crush, it's not a race. Yeah, turns out it was a race. 73% of Americans have had at least one jab. Australians, less than 25% of them are vaccinated. They didn't make enough and they didn't buy enough. And when Delta took off, they got comparatively walloped. I mean, there's really no comparing how hard we've been hit in these United States. We've seen 630,000 COVID deaths. Australia, a country of 25 million people, has had less than 1,000. The problem is the government has now turned on its citizens. The place that was an oasis of freedom and fun now has restrictions so draconian, even Draco is like, geez, lighten up, bro. Weddings are banned. Funerals are capped at 10 people. Outdoor gatherings, 2 people. You can only exercise an hour a day. And that, along with your grocery shopping, is limited to a 3-mile radius around your house. Oh, and school is remote. Fun. This will almost certainly plunge Australia into another recession as hopelessness and boredom fed mass protests over the weekend from fed up Aussies who have learned from other countries who've made the same disastrous mistake. Lockdowns don't work, but people want to work, and they're damn sick of incompetent governments screwing up and dictating their every move. We stand with the freedom seekers in Australia, and we hope to God those oppressive measures don't reinfect idiotic politicians stateside who love to pour cold water on our hot freedom. Then that's the memo. Do you need any more proof that the Aussies are being a little too heavy-handed? One town council reportedly had 10 rescue puppies shot dead. Why? To prevent shelter volunteers from traveling to pick up the dogs and potentially get infected on the journey. So how do we keep that sort of thing from happening here? Well, let's get back into it with the party panel. We got Brian Suits, Rochelle Ritchie, and Kristen Tate. Hi, friends. So, Suits, what do you make of what's... Hi. Good to see you again. Oh, by the way, before we start, Rochelle, what's going on with the lightning? That was very exciting.
Oh, it's still going. I saw a couple of people tweet me about the lightning behind me. I'm just like hoping that I don't have this superstition of lightning coming and striking me to death while I'm sitting here on your show.
I think you're safe. Just put on a pair of Hunter Wellies and you're good to go. But it was very ominous and biblical. So, Suits, let's talk about this a little bit. They have locked everything down. And you have helicopters who are hovering around major cities, picking people out who are walking around and issuing $4,000 fines.
It's weird. It's almost like maybe they should have just kind of let it come to Australia, do its due, and then pick up the mess later on. Kind of like, in other words, here in L.A. County, we've had more people die in L.A. County. I think 5 times more people have died in L.A. County alone than all of Australia. Yeah. And I bet you when the history is written, there's going to be the Swedens and there's going to be the Australias, and people are going to look back and say, why couldn't we just be a Sweden? Our kids wouldn't lose an entire year and a half of school. We wouldn't be shutting Volvo down, the economy. You can still drink and all that. It came, it did its damage, and it left.
Yeah, and you really had to go one way or the other, Rochelle. You really had to get the vaccines and have the social distancing measures and all that stuff, or you have to let it in and acquire herd immunity the hard way. So, obviously COVID has touched your life in ways you will never be the same. So you obviously have a very different take on this.
Yeah, I do. I mean, Kennedy, I've spoken about it on your show before. My father died from COVID September of 2020. And so I do have a different perspective of what this virus really actually does to the body. But when I look at what Australia did, I mean, they really thought that they were invincible. And we have people in this country right now that also think they're invincible and that this won't touch them. And then when it does, it's like, oh, well, I probably should have got vaccinated. I probably should have wore my mask. I probably should have social distanced. And so now what you see happening in Australia is a result of ego. And the fact that, one of the things that really disturbed me was the fact that they actually felt they needed to go to an animal shelter and kill dogs.
Oh, that
because if
drives me
someone,
crazy.
God forbid, that makes me more angry than anything else that they have going on, because that to me is just inhumane.
Yeah, that was disgusting. And I hope they do an investigation, because all the people there who were taking care of the dogs, they had COVID protocols. They were okay. Yep. The dogs were okay. There was a mother with puppies. And, they need to investigate if there was animal cruelty because they shot those dogs needlessly. It makes me so mad. But it's also sort of a metaphor for what's happening there. I mean, the oppressiveness has really gotten out of control, Kristen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kennedy. I mean, this is all about power. Unelected bureaucrats and politicians have totally seized on this virus and used it to grow the size and scope of the state and their own power. Look, COVID is real. It's dangerous. We all need to use prudence. I encourage people to get vaccinated. But at a certain point, once you've done that, especially once you've gotten the vaccine, you can go out and live your life again, because the only way all of this craziness is going to end is when people start ignoring these people in power, these officials. And we know that these officials are not afraid of the virus because they're not acting like it. We saw hundreds of left-wingers go to Martha's Vineyard and have a huge party, on Martha's Vineyard for Obama's birthday. Gavin Newsom went to French Laundry with a big group of his friends, defying his own lockdown orders. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi went and got a blowout at the salon.
Nancy Pelosi just had several hundred donors in Napa, maskless. They don't believe any of it. And you know who really doesn't believe it? But he's still spouting a bunch of garbage? Dr. Anthony Fauci, moving the goalposts once more in terms of when we'll get back to normal. Watch.
There's a big caveat there, Anderson. This is a very wily virus. We thought we were going to have that degree of freedom as we got into the 4th of July and the summer. And then along comes a sucker punch with the Delta variant, which is extraordinary in its capability of spreading from person to person. So we hope we'll be there at the time frame that I mentioned correctly, being the spring of 2022, but there's no guarantee.
No, I think when Joe Biden is reelected, that's when there will be COVID no more. Spring 2022. What a BS artist. Once upon a time, Fauci predicted the U.S. would reach herd immunity if 70 to 80% of the population were vaccinated. Now, he and some others are suggesting herd immunity might never happen with the Delta variant, and everyone needs to get the shot, and then another shot, and then another shot till it's shot o'clock. At this point, is this as good as it gets, Suits? And what's a soccer punch?
Well, in my experience, when a wily virus is chasing you, you run up to the side of a mountain and you paint a fake train tunnel, and then you go in. And then wily virus hits it and he flattens out. No, I mean, we're at a point now where if it might be time for a national referendum where we reach herd concurrence, that if 80% of Americans say, I had it or I've been vaccinated, in my case, my daughter's case, had it and been vaccinated. And they're not taking into account those of us who already had it. So at this point, unless we're turning into a centrally planned socialist economy, let me just take a chance. I mean, you let me drive here without a helmet on. You know, as long as I obey the speed limit, please let me just go back to work, because that's why we call it lockdown-geless, because our director of public health, we call her Lockdown Barbie. She just, that's their default on everything. It's ludicrous. Look at 1918, 1919, back when we were adults. We got on with it.
It's painful for me to look back then. I was a teenager. So, Rochelle, where do we go from here?
You know, at this point, I feel like you just have to do what is best for you and your family. I mean, they can say, to me, they can say 2022, they can say, you know, in 60 days, whatever. I'm doing what I feel is going to be best for me. I don't feel like I'm going to necessarily stop wearing a mask for probably the next year and a half. I feel like it's going to continue and continue. And now that you have COVID mutating into something else, more viruses, I think there's actually a COVID-22 now. It's like, it's way too much. So I just am going to do what is best for me and my family. And I'm hoping that by doing what is best for me and my health, that will protect other people as well. Because at this point, I don't know what's going on. I really don't.
All right, very good. Kristen, take us home, dear.
Yeah, it's time we all stop ignoring these bureaucrats. You know, everyone needs to make their own risk calculations. If someone wants to lock down for the next 5 years, they can do that. Just don't force me to do it. And look, if we want to encourage more people to get vaccinated, shrieking at them and saying mean things about them, it's not going to convince them. I have a lot of people in my friends' circle who don't want to get the vaccine. That is not how you convince them to get the jab. You convince them by showing them statistics. And I think that's how we're going to move towards a higher percentage of the population getting the vaccine, is by showing them that the risk calculation makes sense for them to get the vaccine.
And you also tell them that it's a form of penile enhancement, right, Suits?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, if the Biden administration were serious, they would call it Trump vax. They would call it Trump vax.
They're saying the only people who haven't gotten the vaccine are Trump voters. That's not true. 70% of African Americans in New York City have not been vaccinated. There's a great deal of skepticism. They're doing a horrible job of reaching out to people in vulnerable communities. Dingbats. Penile. All right, I think we have to go. But I adore you all so much. Brian, Rochelle, and Kristen, thanks for stopping by and being the party panel tonight.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Thanks, Kennedy.
Double shock us.
If and when the vaccine comes. And it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
If Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
Penile, 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 penile. Is that what she said? She said penile, right? She's a peculiar one, that girl. And I love her for it. So, I'm going to have a bong hit now. If you would care to join me, I am almost ready. And I'm down to one video. So, if you want to call, now would be the time to do it. Otherwise, we'll have this bong hit, play a video, and call it a night. Okay? So here we go. You ready? Follow me and do exactly as you see. Nice. Nice. All right, so let's see. I am going to play another video since we didn't get any calls. I'll wait just a minute. Because I want to, somebody might have been taking a bong hit with me. And I want to give them a chance to call in case they want to call. The number's right there on the screen, 805-669-6397. I guess part of the reason that I like Kennedy so much is one of the things that she points out regularly is the fact that this is what a police state looks like. She may not use those words so much, but you can clearly tell that that's what she's trying to get across to her viewers. And I appreciate that very much. I don't see that. I don't see that in any on-television journalist, except for Kennedy. I can't think of another online journalist who really points out the truth about the police state. Don Lemon will talk about, racism in the police, but he's not going to talk about the police state, the all-encompassing, comply or die, over-intrusive police state. He's not going to, because he's part of it. Which is really weird that Kennedy is. I think Kennedy is like their token, right? Fox News' token is Kennedy because she. It's not that she doesn't pull punches. It's not that she's not part of the game. It's not that she's not one of their best propagandists. It's that she. Again, I talk about the news media, right? I talk about this all the time. There's no right, there's no left news media, right? There's just these people talking to these suckers and these people talking to these other suckers, right? So there's no left, there's no right. It's just that the people who make money off of broadcasting the news see this audience over here on the left who's going to want to hear things about today's events told to them in this way. And that's how they present today's events, the news, in this way. And then it attracts this audience that they know is there. It's basically a captive audience waiting for someone to tell them what they want to hear or how they want to hear it. And then there's this other audience over here. Let's call them the right. There's this other audience, and they would like to hear things this way. And the people who make money off of broadcasting the news understand that those are the facts, so they present the news in this way, which they know will appeal to this audience. Right? Is this making any sense? So Kennedy is given kind of free reins, more or less, because they know that there's another audience there. And they're trying to kind of tap into that audience at least a little bit. In my opinion, you'd need a little bit more free reins than what Kennedy has. Not only that, you'd need at least a half a dozen more Kennedys, in every shape, form, size, gender. This way, Kennedy herself wouldn't be seen as a token, as I called her moments ago. And it's unfortunate because I think that if there was a news network that had, a dozen Kennedys or, more independent free thinkers, because again, even these people that are they're trying to tell you that they're center of the road and they're just trying to tell you about the daily events. We know this isn't true. And that's the whole thing behind Mox News' motto, unfair and biased, right? By saying right up front on our logo, it says unfair and biased, right? So if by presenting that right up front, it makes us more honest than any other news people that you're going to get. Because if they're trying to tell you, if some news people are trying to tell you that they are unbiased, in my own opinion, and I've been doing this a long time, in my own opinion and my understanding of humans, it's just not possible to present topical events and be completely unbiased, right? So by me saying clearly that I am biased, it makes me and Mox News more honest. You know, and it's not that I'm trying to slant the news this way or that way, but I have all kinds of bias, like towards freedom and independence and, you know, against war. You know, I have a lot of very biased opinions, and I won't hesitate to share them. And I will be completely unfair. I will listen to what you're saying, and if it doesn't make the slightest bit of sense, I will point that out to you with the simplest logic I can possibly muster. And that's what we do here at Mox News, because we want you to be part of the conversation, not just pretend part. I'm giving you the opportunity to be an actual, genuine part of the conversation. Not something where you send emails to this person, and then the person picks and chooses between the dozen emails or the 100 emails or the 1,000 emails. It's not like that. It's not me picking out my favorite ones. It's me saying, hey, if you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can do that now. It's not like, you know, it's not like... It's just straightforward, you know. It's not like me pretending that, you know, I want to somehow, you know, present, you know, this unbiased thing. See, the news, right, the local news, they'll act like somehow they're just presenting the news. It's clear that they're not, for anyone that's aware. All of these people, all these media people are completely, again, part of the police state. This is what a police state looks like. All this controlled media, all this fear is about the police state. Because if you're afraid, which is again what I broadcast here and again, preach and preach and preach, is don't buy into the hyped up fear. You know, this is a top priority here. Okay, things are what they are. And the truth is, as I look around, you know, I have food in the fridge. I have, you know, I have my dog. I have my friends. You know, if things are on the edge of collapsing, well, it could be a lot worse because I'm not experiencing that in this moment. Thank you very much. And I really recommend that if that's not happening to you right now, that you don't experience it in this moment either. Actually become aware of what's happening in this moment, and in doing so, you'll understand that this worry about what's going to happen in the next moment, or many moments down the road, this thing isn't real. What's happening right now in actuality, in this moment, that's the only reality there is. No memory of what happened yesterday or a year ago. That is not reality. That is a chemical reaction in your brain. The only reality is what you are experiencing in this moment. The only thing you can truly experience is in this moment. Everything else is a fantasy, you know. The chemical reaction in your brain, you're not really experiencing it. This moment, you know, sight, sound, taste, smells, textures, there's a bombardment of sensations going on. Colors, music, you know, food. It's just a never-ending roller coaster ride of peaks and valleys, and who knows what's up around the next corner. It could be a loop-de-loop. And that's the way that it should be, but because most people are worried about this impending doom that's coming sometime in the future, it prevents them from experiencing what's happening right now. And the thing that I, again, recommend the most is that you just don't buy into the hyped up fear, because the hyped up fear isn't something that's happening right now. The terrorists, they're everywhere. Really? I don't see them. Where are they everywhere exactly? Right? You get it? The hyped up fear. If you're in this moment and they say, the terrorist, for me, I look around, go, what? Okay, I mean, as I said before, we were at a festival one time, and there was gunfire. I think there was 2 shots, right? And like 1,000 people started running our direction. And Craig looked at me and he said, should we run? And I looked around, and there wasn't more gunfire. I didn't perceive anything to run from. Like, no, come over here, get away from these fucking stampede, and thousands, possibly thousands of people ran past us. It was, I'm really glad we didn't get caught up in it. I don't know if anyone got hurt. I believe somebody got shot, and it was accidental. Somebody accidentally fired their gun that they were illegally carrying at the park at a festival with little children around. But again, this wasn't about that. It was about that if you're in the moment, then you can actually look and experience if there is something to be afraid of right now. And if there's something to be afraid of right now, in this moment, that you see that's a problem right now, it's about to hit you like a fucking freight train. Trust me when I say. And you're not looking at something that's, miles in the future, because you can step out of a freight train that's miles in the future. And you know what? That freight train might not ever come. Actually, it might stop and turn around and do a whole bunch of different things. Might fucking derail right way before it gets to you. So, again, it's this fantasy thing that keeps you from experience right now, in which, yeah, look, there's a train coming. I probably better step out of the way. So don't live in fear. Don't buy into the hyped up fear. And do your best to experience now. As I've said again and again, there's these constants, If you have this tunnel vision and you know that that everything is fucked, understand that change is what happens in this lifetime. It just, things change. It's just a constant. It's like I say, there's these constants in this existence as a human, on this planet. There's these things. There's laws, like for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction, right? And one of them is change. There's always going to be change. So if you're actually experiencing something terrible right now in this moment, which again, I pointed out that one of the other constants is humor. So it's not so much that you have to be in terror and you have to be, unless of course there's a freight train right there and you better do something right now. That's the point of fear. The point of fear is that shit's happening right now, so you get an adrenaline rush and you move. The way that the powers that be want it is that you're afraid of something that's going to happen in the future. And the reason that you're afraid of it is because you don't really know what's going to happen in the future. But these people that are telling you and programming you to be afraid of something that's going to happen in the future, it's because if you're afraid of something that's going to happen in the future, then you're like, oh, what should I do? And you turn to these strong leaders. You turn to the pillars of the community when you don't know what to do. When you're feeling sick and you can't get over feeling sick, you turn to the medical community and say, the pillar for the for-profit medical industrial complex where you have nowhere else to go. And you say, I don't know what to do because you're afraid. And you know, it makes sense that you would be afraid when you would be experiencing something like that in this moment right now, right? But the pillars of our community are full of shit. And that's what the real problem is. And that's why they want us afraid. Because the more afraid we are, the more we need these people that are strong and leaders, and they'll tell us what to do. So don't buy into the hyped up fear. That's what they want most of all. And that's how they divide us most of all. So I have one more clip about Gaza. I'm going to play that now before I jabber on more and more and more and more and more. Because I can do that forever. Not that I do, but I could. I could. Don't make me do it. I will prove it right now. Jabber on for the next 12 hours. Maybe Friday. Okay. Last clip. Last chance to call. I would do it now if I was you. 805-669-6397. This is clip number 9. Number 9.
And thanks for staying with us. We go now to southern Israel, where protests took place early this afternoon on the border with Gaza, with thousands of demonstrators reportedly surrounding the border fence, and with Hamas forces who were there meant to prevent those present from approaching the border. Israel used riot dispersal means in some instances where rioters neared the fence, causing some injuries, as was reported on the Gazan side. And of course, Egypt had been urging Hamas to clamp down on the demonstrations to prevent violence akin to what we saw on Saturday, when some 40 Palestinians were injured, 2 of them critically. One has officially succumbed to his wounds. He has officially been identified as a militant of the Diz al-Din al-Qassam Martyrs Brigade, a Hamas operative. And one Israeli border police officer was shot and is in critical condition. Israel had beefed up its presence along the border in light of the ongoing tension. And Israel's defense minister, Benny Gantz, took a visit to southern Israel and held a situational assessment. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Israel has no interests in Gaza other than peace and quiet, and the return of the civilians and soldiers that are held hostage by Hamas. The true obstacle preventing Gaza from developing and flourishing is Hamas, led by Sinwar. A heavy price will be paid for harm done to our civilians, soldiers or sovereignty.
And by the day's end, the protests ended without many extreme incidents. Our correspondent Batya Leventhal was there and filed this report.
Extreme quiet right now on the Israel-Gaza border. So quiet, in fact, that you can hear the crickets in the background. But that wasn't always the case throughout the day today. Earlier in the afternoon, thousands of Palestinians on the Gaza side coming about 100 to 200 meters away from the fence to protest, lighting tires on fire and throwing explosives into the fence area. While the fence was not damaged, thousands more of IDF were deployed to the area in order to avoid a situation like Saturday, which saw over 41 Palestinians on the Gazan side being injured and one border patrol officer here on the Israeli side being shot at point-blank range. While today the injuries on the Palestinian side were about 23, there were no injuries reported yet on the Israeli side, but we did see an uptick in that violence when earlier we saw ambulances coming right past us on that fence in order to attend to possibly those that were wounded. About 10 Palestinians lightly injured from inhaling the smoke from the tear gas grenade grenades that were being deployed over the fence by the IDF. Obviously not the scenes that we were seeing on Saturday when they swarmed the fence, this time keeping their distance, which could be in part due to Hamas's restraining force that they sent to the border. Again, mixed messages coming out from Hamas, sending a restraining force in order to make sure that they are not getting close enough to escalate and to really put such a violent way of these protests, but then taking to social media to indicate that thousands of Gazans and Palestinians should take to the fence in order to defend Jerusalem. Very different scenes that we're seeing today than we did over the weekend, but again, tension rising and falling at the same time, with both the United States and longtime mediator in the region, Egypt, taking a stand and urging Hamas not to escalate things anymore. Batya Leventhal reporting live from the Israel-Gaza border for I24 News.
All right, my little ninjas, that's my last clip. We got no phone callers. I did 2 fat dabs with you, and that's why I came here to do. So thanks so much for tuning in. We do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be... Oh, now you're going to show up? Okay. Okay, get up there. Go on. Hurry up. Okay, wait, that's not him. Where is he at? Where is he at? Where is he at? There you are. Hey, Bubba. Hey. Boo Bear, how's my beautiful baby? Well, he made it up to say hi at least, right? So, next time, start a little earlier, buddy. Like I said, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow. Same Mox time, same Mox channel. Until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Gotta end one of these days, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Stay cool till then.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company. Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories, 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.